Okay, let me see who's not here. Which one can you get a take a seat, please? Reto, Yuna, Chinwei. Who is not here? Oh, so. Oh, what's your grade? Danny Gabriel. Good at that. Okay, let's start. Ready? Rachel. Can you put it away, Josh? My aim for these 2 periods, maybe 2 lessons, actually for today and Thursday, finish up the floor of CMC, okay? And then tell you what your project report is as well. Okay, I'm just gonna go to CMC. Alright, so a quick recap for today, right? You can use your PLDs. The slides are already in the Google Drive. Okay, this is the only worksheet I'm giving you guys, alright, for this crisis. You can annotate on this. You can download a set of the slides on the Google Drive, okay, on your PLD, and write notes as you go along. All right, or you can annotate on your own textbook as well. Okay, you guys also have your own timelines, right? The CMC timelines. Okay, I would suggest to take that out as well. You can pair it with this set of timelines. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to do a very quick recap of the missile crisis. Yes. Yes. Okay, I'm going to do a quick recap on CMC with your help. Okay, first off, right? Last time we ended off talking about the tensions between Cuba and US, right? We were talking about, and this was your exam SC2 as well, right? We were talking about how Cuba's economy relied very heavily on the US, and US also relied very heavily on Cuba for sugar, for cheap labor as well. And that's what we ended off with. And then we said there was tensions between the two because when Fidel Castro came to power, all right, he tried to nationalize a lot of Cuba's industries. Okay, which means that he took back control over nationalizing. He took back control of all of these industry, sugar, oil. Okay, so now my question to you guys is, right, what were the actions that US took in response of these actions that Castro took? Use your timeline. What did the US do? Hello. What did they do? You studied this for me exam. What did they do? What did they do? Okay, let's go down. What did the US do in response to Castro nationalizing the sugar industry? What is this? What did they do? Before that, they were buying very heavily, right, from Cuba. These sanctions how? Okay, yes, very good. They impose sugar quota. All right, impose the sugar quota, so they limited amount of sugar bought. All right. Doctor, you mentioned sanctions. What kind of sanctions were there? What are sanctions? Economic sanctions, right? So what are these economic sanctions? What do they do? What does this mean? Less buying. Okay, less buying, but what else? Is it just for buying? Yes, okay, very good. Okay, this is the concept of an economic embargo. Yeah, very good. All right, these are terms you guys need to know. Okay, limited exports plus imports of all goods except food and medicine, if I'm not wrong. Okay, do you guys remember what they did to the oil industries? What did the US do to the oil industries? Look at your timelines. Look at your timelines. Okay, this is where your timelines are great help. Okay, land reform law. Okay, pressure companies not to process Soviet oil as well. Yep. Yep. Okay, so I think that's about it lah. Okay. I'm gonna add to your knowledge now because this is where we left off. Where did I leave mine? Okay, I'm gonna add to your knowledge right now because this is where we left off last time. We left off here. We talked about citizens of Cuba. Cuba is the USA. We talked about tensions between USA and Cuba, and now we're going to the escalating tensions due to US retaliation against Cuba. So we have these things so far. Right, the sugar quota, the economic sanctions, trade embargo. Okay. Now I'm gonna add to your knowledge by telling you guys about two more events that actually happened. All right. When US retaliated against Fidel Castro. Okay, very important. This was called the Bay of Pigs invasion. Okay, Bay of Pigs invasion. I think some of you guys read it already. You kind of know what it is. Okay, so what happened in the Bay of Pigs invasion? The CIA basically developed a plan to overthrow Castro's government by training exiles, okay, Cuban exiles, all right, to try and start a revolution and start a coup, okay, against Fidel Castro. All right, yeah. So JFK, John, how does the F? John. If I find out, JFK, all right, JFK did not recognize Castro's government and severed diplomatic relations with Cuba. All right, for the exact timeline, go to your textbook. All right, go and search in your PLB. If you don't have it in your exam. Oh, here, 17th April 1961. Okay. All right, so just to sum it up, this entire invasion, it was a huge military disaster. It was very clear to everyone that the USA was behind this invasion. It's also very embarrassing for the USA, right? All along, USA has been treating self-determination, the right for countries to choose what path they want to take. Okay, whether they want to, while encouraging democracy, right? Democracy, freedom of choice, freedom of the code. Okay, but spoiler alert, this is not the only campaign. It's not the only. This is not the only kind of revolution the USA tried to incite many countries all over the world. If you look at, I think of any now, but you have to look at the very close history of the United States. Okay, I mean it's true. Okay. My judgment, but okay. Bay of Pigs as one example. Okay, Bay of Pigs is one example. Okay, and rather than weakening Castro's regime, the USA actually strengthened it. Okay, strengthen it how? Because Castro used it to rally for support. Right? All this while, Cuba has been very upset with American intervention and what they deem as American imperialism, right? Expanding the American empire. Even though Cuba is not part of America. Okay, so yeah. Let me show you guys this very short video now. Hey. Hey, sorry, this I'm gonna share first. Oh.
Funded by the CIA, the 3-day Bay of Pigs invasion proved to be a disaster. Going down as one of the most glaring failures in CIA history. In 1952, American ally General Fulgencio Batista led a coup against Cuban President Carlos Cuba, forcing Creo to flee the island nation into exile in nearby Miami. The overthrow inspired Fidel Castro to form the 26th July movement, which would escalate into the Cuban Revolution of December 1958. Once in power, Castro nationalized all American business interests from the island, including banks, oil refineries, as well as sugar and coffee plantations, before severing previously close relations with the United States. In its place, Castro embraced relations with America's Cold War rival, the Soviet Union. In response, U.S. President Dwight D. Eisenhower allocated $13.1 million to the CIA in March 1960 for direct use against the Castro regime. The money helped to form a Cuban exile paramilitary group called Brigade 2506, an armed wing of the Democratic Revolutionary Front, whose sole objective was the overthrow of Castro's increasingly communistic-backed regime, aided by the CIA and strategic U.S. military personnel. The counter-revolutionary unit of 1,400 Cuban paramilitaries was trained in Guatemala. On April 17, 1961, the newly minted President John F. Kennedy allowed the invasion attempt to go forward. However, he stripped the mission of direct support of U.S. air and naval assets, which almost certainly doomed the invasion attempt to failure. 2 days earlier, 8 CIA-supplied B-26 bombers had attacked Cuban airfields, allowing the invasion force to land uncontested on a beach in Playa Girón in the Bay of Pigs, where it was soon overwhelmed by local Cuban militias. Within 3 days, the invaders had been defeated and thrown into Cuban prisons. The 3-day Bay of Pigs invasion would prove to be a disaster for the Kennedy administration, going down as one of the most glaring failures in CIA history. On September 12, 1962, many historians believe that Kennedy's "Let's Go to the Moon" speech was a belated attempt to deflect attention from his mistake during the Bay of Pigs invasion, while his inept understanding about the geopolitical importance of Cuba would go on to spawn the Cuban Missile Crisis of October 1962, when the Soviet Union installed nuclear missile batteries on Cuba aimed directly at the United States a mere 90 miles away.
Okay, all right, so that's a very short recap on the Bay of Pigs. Basically, this invasion failed, and okay, so this is just part of a series of events leading up to escalating tensions. Now, we're still not at Cuban Missile Crisis yet. Now, is your eye okay? All right, so next, you would think that Bay of Pigs, right? After the failure of Bay of Pigs, KFK would have learned his lesson, but no. All right, so there was this other operation, okay, other campaign called Operation Mongoose, okay, which was again launched by CIA, which includes sabotaging Cuban industries and assassination of Castro. All right, again, video. All right, I don't have a video for this. Okay, I don't have a video for this, but basically, right, these two events, Bay of Pigs, Operation Mongoose, right, its aim was to take back control of Cuba, right, but in actual fact, it backfired, and right backfired in the end, it just drove Castro to seek out alternative sources of support. Okay, in the context of Cold War, another very strong player comes to mind, which is the Soviet Union. Okay, and this is where we have the former alliance with the USSR. Okay, and he looked desperately for allies. Okay, and yeah. So USSR was the most logical ally. Okay, and Khrushchev. Okay, Khrushchev, new person here. Khrushchev is the successor after Stalin. If you see this guy, Nikita Khrushchev. All right. He's the next leader after this vote. Okay. Yeah. Okay. He sent a letter of support to Castro, criticized the operation at UN. Okay, and Castro in the end, he ended up establishing the Communist Party and ended up forming an alliance with the Soviet Union. Okay, we are still not at the Cuban Missile Crisis. Okay, now we come to the Cuban Missile Crisis. Okay, so Cuban Missile Crisis, what you heard from the video, and this is where I would suggest you guys begin to talk on dates. Or dates are very important here because the Cuban Missile Crisis, everything happened within a span of 13 days. Okay, 13 days is okay. Okay? They always have to be dramatic and put it 13 days. Actually, it was more than that now. 15 days, 15 days. Okay? Yeah, so Cuban Missile Crisis, as you guys heard from the video, basically, Soviet Union planted missiles, okay, in Cuba, facing the US. That's the whole concept. Okay? Planting missiles, okay? medium, and long-range missiles facing the US in Cuba. And remember, I showed you guys a map of where Cuba is located in the Caribbean Sea. Okay, I will show you guys more maps later. Anyway, this was the video, this was the photo taken by the US spy plane when they discovered the missile site. Okay, all right. So yeah, Cuba's former alliance with the Soviet Union. Okay, so now we come to the reasons for putting these missiles in Cuba. All right. Yeah. For Khrushchev, okay, Khrushchev, Soviet Union. Okay, his decision comes with three different separated in three different ideas. Okay, what's the type of? Okay, so firstly, okay, political gains. All right, he wanted to use it as leverage to demand further concessions regarding the status of West Berlin. Up to now, this is still not settled. Okay, remember the entire Berlin, the 4 zones, they are split in 2 different zones, East Berlin, West Berlin. This is still not settled. Okay, Soviet Union still has control over East Berlin, and the same goes with the Allied powers with West Berlin. Okay, and for Khrushchev, he's new, right? He's a new leader. He is not as well known as Stalin, okay, but he is the leader of the Communist International Movement, right? As the next leader, he wants to sort of assert dominance. He wants to assert dominance. He wants to impose himself as someone, as a communist leader who is strong, all right, and powerful and able enough to go up against the US. Okay, so especially with China, China became communist in 1950. Okay, so all this happened in 1960s. All right, I mean there was tensions between China and USSR as well at one time. Okay, military gains as well. All right, another feature of the Cold War is the arms race. Okay, arms race meaning that both of them were gearing themselves towards a war that actually never really happened, and a war between the both of them is okay, not a proxy war. All right, so USA at the point in time had more effective missiles than Soviet Union. Okay, and Khrushchev wanted to close this gap. Another thing that's very important at the point in time, USA had stationed these missiles, called the typical missiles of Turkey. Is in Europe. Europe, okay, I will show you guys the map now. All right, so Turkey here. All right, and then if you see, if you look at the legend here, NATO, that means all the other Western European countries who are on the side of USA and Britain and France. Okay, Warsaw Pact. Okay, you guys know this. All right, those that are under the control, the satellite states under the control of the Soviet Union. And this is the typical missiles range. Okay, it can hit Moscow, it can hit Leningrad. All right, so these are USA's missiles planted facing this way. You want to plant here, is it? Here. But Turkey is USA's ally. It's underneath. Narrow side. In USA. But it still can reach. Look, this is the effective range. Yeah, but the capital Moscow. Okay. After it was Leningrad, it's Leningrad. Okay, anyway. I don't know. Okay, anyway. Another reason, okay, strategic gains to secure a base, okay, a base for themselves. Okay, that was strategically close to the USA. We have talked about this before. The distance, okay. Cuba being the entryway to the Caribbean Sea, the Caribbean islands. All right, and to repel advancing naval vessels, target cities in mainland USA from Cuba. Okay, so it would be deterrence. Did I call it deterrence? Deterrence? That's what deterring is. If I was to say I'm deterring you guys from, what would I deter you guys from? Oh yeah, okay, and from using phones in class, right? I just put a photo of 6 months there. So his face as first, right? For example, it is very bad example, but you guys get what I mean, right? It's like to achieve a greater incentive for you not to do something. Okay, so the threat of the negative consequences there. Okay, Chloe and Letitia, you guys awake? All right, one and only time I'm gonna go through this. All right, okay, your timeline important. May 1962, Khrushchev informed the USSR ambassador to ask Castro to accept Soviet missiles in Cuba. Okay, we are here already. Okay, this is still not the 13 days. Right, so May 1962, this happens. Can I move on? All right, yes. Just these words. Come on. Give me your timeline. Don't tell me you'll go home and do it. Okay, my May 1962. All right, so for Castro, all right, why would Castro accept these missiles? We have already talked about why Khrushchev wanted to plant these missiles, but we have not talked about why Castro would accept these missiles. Okay, he thought that, well, it will guarantee Soviet protection of Cuba, boost defense of Cuba, and for Castro, it was also like, well, seeing that there have been attempts on my life, okay, in Operation Mongoose, in Day of Pigs, all the more, right, I have the right to defend myself against foreign aggression. Okay, and this is a way I'm going to defend myself. All right. So yeah, this was what Castro said. He said, if we expected the Soviets to fight on our behalf, to run risk for us, even involve themselves in a war, it would be immoral and cowardly on our part to refuse to accept the presence of these missiles here. What he's saying is that if I expect Khrushchev to fight me, then I can do a small thing like just accepting these missiles, your missiles, Soviet missiles on my land. Okay, all right, it's like a contact, like a transaction, right? You scratch my back. Okay, all right. So 10 June 1962, this was how the missiles were transported. Okay, Soviet soldiers disguised as Russian tourists came to Cuba, and they transported the Soviet missiles. All right, they arrived on 4th October, and October is when everything begins happening. Okay, so this is what happens when America discovers the missile deployment. You guys can copy this, a little bit go, right? Okay, yeah. Now we come to the 13 days. Okay, 26 September, we're still not at the 13 days. American Congress granted Kennedy the power to take action against Cuba if necessary. Okay, the Soviet engineers, they didn't really, I don't know whether they really tried to hide their construction sites, the transportation equipment. Basically, they were found out. Okay, they were found out on September 1961. September 1961? September 1962, sorry, September 1962. Okay, 13 days has begun. 14 October, American spy plane took photographs of a missile launch site. Okay, and then day one. Okay, we count day one from the time the US starts discussing. All right, begins to discuss. Okay, these plans. All right, so USA received more reports on missile installation, capable of striking the heart of USA within 10 minutes. Okay, within 10 minutes. All right, day one. Number one. Okay, October 18th. Kennedy meets the Soviet ambassador who assured Kennedy, oh, this is only for defensive purposes to counter USA's missiles in Turkey. All right. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole of the response. I'm going to make guys work. So I don't want to go through the whole response. I think it's called back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Okay, I just want to explain up. And I move on. Okay. So at this point, right, you know, if you are Kennedy, right? Okay, let's talk about Kennedy's reaction first, right? If you are Kennedy, you learn about these missiles that have been planted in Cuba that can strike my country in 10 minutes. And it's planted by the enemy, right? My greatest enemy. It's planted by two of my enemies. Okay, and we discussed the three options, including an invasion of Cuba. So this is one of the options that you're going to decide. How are you going to respond to missiles? Okay, yeah. Okay, and then move on. I'm going to show you guys the options now. I want you guys to discuss it. All right. Okay, wait, not yet. Okay, because for Kennedy, right? The covert meaning very secretive, secretive nature of putting the missiles there. All right, covert, secretive, kind of sneaky. Okay, sneaky is more slang, so you can say. All right, covert. Okay, deployment of the missiles. They put the missiles there so secretly, right? This guy themselves that put the missiles there was perceived as being very aggressive. All right, what? Kennedy as well felt very betrayed by Khrushchev. All right, who said it was defensive, not offensive. But who's going to believe him? Right, he is literally the enemy. Okay, and the missiles are offensive weapons, and he was worried that Soviet Union was planning a first strike, which would give Soviet Union the advantage. And the use of nuclear missiles will fulfill MAD, what we call, do I have it here? What we call mutually assured destruction. Very important concept. You guys saw this before? Well, what does that mean?
They wouldn't want to attack us if they think that they would destroy themselves in the process.
Yep. Okay. So what Xavier said is right? Mutually, right? If you are in a relationship that's mutual, it means that both of you are in this together. Assured, guaranteed. This is guaranteed. Okay, mutually, both will go down. All right, destruction. So if I were to say, let me give you an example. If I were to say something like that, if I were to say, person A and person B have gotten into a relationship right before the O-levels, 1 week before the O-levels. And I know these two people are not exactly the most stable people. And then I say, you guys are really just getting yourselves into mutually assured destruction. That's not mutually assured destruction, right? This is supposed to be 1 hour.
1 hour.
1 hour only, right? More correct. Why do I say mutually assured destruction? Because by getting yourself to this relationship, right, you are sure will go down from okay, so in the case of the Cuban Missile Crisis, right, if let's say the Soviet Union strikes the US, how would the US respond? China, right? And both of them will be in deep trouble because they're both striking each other, right? They have the Jupiter missiles and they have the Cuban missiles. Okay, so yeah, it's like this concept. All right, so this is a situation of mutually assured destruction. If any of them decide to launch the nuclear strikes, the both of them will go down. Okay? Okay, so what I want you guys to do now, right? Just take 2 minutes, turn to your neighbor, all right? Let me explain these measures. What could Kennedy have done? What do you think if you guys were Kennedy, right? What would you do? Would you do nothing? Would you try and be more diplomatic and approach Khrushchev again and try and see about his intentions? Will you approach Castro? Will you invade Cuba, knowing that you had already tried to invade Cuba twice and failed? Would you launch an airstrike? So an airstrike is different from a nuclear strike. Airstrike bombing. Okay, it's like the bombing of like the bombing in World War II. Okay? Or would you impose a naval blockade? Okay, basically what a naval blockade is. Yeah. Naval blockade, thank you very much. So you're just explaining everything. Okay, what will you do? question, or would you launch nuclear missile? Would you launch? No. Why? What's the situation? What's the consequence for myself? Right? But how do you think okay, she tried tell me what we do. Oh, we just roll, but let things happen. Huh? What? You will approach Castro and then tell him what? What? Well done. Continue. Well done. Continue. Let the missile stop, is it? Remove the missiles. What? I think it was terrible carrot. What? Okay, let me ask you, Andrew. Here, what will you do? Move on then. Okay, which is? So you see this as escalating now. All right, escalating. Okay, possibly. I think that's interesting, right? Because the approach of escalating means that you're also giving the time for your enemy to react, right? But at the same time, you must think for Kennedy's perspective, right? These missiles are already in Cuba, right? These missiles are already in Cuba. If anything, right? At that point in time, Kennedy was felt like he was short of time, right? Another reason why we consolidated everything in 15 days was because actually really everything happened that fast. Okay, they wanted to get it settled as fast as possible. There was always the threat that either side pull the trigger at any point. Okay, so I mean, I like your approach, but for Kennedy, it felt like there was not enough time. Attack Cuba and Russia. How would the international opinion look at this? Yes. That seems quite reasonable, right? Who's going to get first? Okay, so this is what I mean now. Okay, so these are all the considerations. If Kennedy does nothing, the president in the USA looks very weak. If he uses diplomatic measures, again, might make them look very weak, or the USSR might not want to negotiate. They have already been saying, these are only defensive, right? Approach Castro, but tensions, right? The tensions, everything, the relationship is to the point of no return, right? How are you going to make this happen? Invade Cuba. The USSR might use missile retaliation, right? Not, and also the previous invasions have failed, right? What makes them think this will continue to happen? All right, launch an airstrike, but USA they don't know all the sites of the different missiles. The remaining missiles to be used against USA. a naval blockade, all right, to prevent more missiles from reaching Cuba. The only thing is, a blockade can be considered an act of war and actually trigger a war. Okay, so what he actually did, oh yeah, this is what I mean by mutually assured destruction. Okay, it was this idea like that actually threatened and made the both of them, right? Very hesitant to the one launch be the one launch the put the paper. Okay, and for Kennedy, all right, he decided to use this tactic called brinksmanship. Brinksmanship. Okay, you guys know what going to bring. I would say you're going to bring. It's like the edge, right? So brinksmanship is like you're going to edge, right? You push your opponent to the edge so that they will retreat. All right, but it's a very dangerous tactic to play, right? Because what if you push your opponent to the edge and then you accidentally pull yourself over the edge as well? Okay, so for Kennedy, this was what he decided to do, and that's why he chose to impose a naval blockade on 22nd October. Okay, 22nd October. All right. Why? Because okay, the U-2 spy planes discovered more missile sites. Okay, which kind of showed that there are more missile sites than originally thought. Okay, so he decided to impose a naval blockade, stop any more incoming ships from approaching Cuba and delivering more missiles to them. All right, a lot of Soviet forces are assembled in Cuba already. If you cut them off, they cannot get help. All right, and they cannot do a land invasion or even air invasion. A land invasion in the US. All right, Soviet experts have argued that Khrushchev deployed missiles as a bargaining chip. So you remove the missiles, so you stop the missiles from reaching Cuba. All right, giving him more of a bargaining chip. All right, increasing the stakes essentially. And the blockade to buy more time to negotiate. All right. Okay, so this is what a naval blockade looks like. All right, United States here, is here. That's actually the color. Anyway, yeah, Atlantic Ocean here, naval blockade stretches from here. Okay. And US has occupied Puerto Rico, still occupying Puerto Rico. Okay, so Kennedy declared brinksmanship strategy on 22nd October, demanded Soviet leadership remove missiles and announced the blockade. So what does blockade mean? All vessels will be checked by American naval ships to ensure no more weapons to proceed to Cuba. And in Florida, okay, state here, quite close to Cuba actually, American forces were mobilized in Florida. They were ready for war. All right. Okay. Anyway, remember how I said just now that announcing a naval blockade would actually be considered an act of war. USA decided to call it a naval quarantine. Okay. So that's what happened. So they announced a naval quarantine. Okay, this is the part where I want you guys to do your homework. Can you guys assess the slides and fill in the rest of the timeline? Okay, and you can find out what happened by yourself. Okay, the reason why I'm not going through this anymore because it's really a lot of back and forth. Okay, TLDR, Khrushchev backed down. Castro was sort of left out of the negotiations. Okay, and I've already covered the important parts, the important bits. Okay, so for the rest of the period, can you guys access your Google Drive? Okay, you can find the tiny URL in the on WhatsApp, and then fill in the rest of the timeline. Okay, basically it's everything here lah. Okay, go. And if you do not finish this, okay, please do this as homework. All right, next lesson, I'm gonna just move on to the impact of Cuban Missile Crisis as a whole. Okay, what happened after that? What happened after everything was settled? I'm gonna get you guys to do some causation activity. I'm gonna tell you guys your holiday homework. Okay, that's all. Please try and be present on Thursday, all of you. Okay. Access the slides here, the slides. And fill in the rest of the timeline by yourself. Go.